Bing bing bong. We are watching YouTube's darkest videos. Now, before we get into this one, let me. Holy crap, man. These are an emotional roller coaster. That one we just watched, I felt like I was forced to just and I knew it was gonna end bad and I couldn't save anything and I was just sitting there for holy hey man. It was about Brazil. I'll probably post that one first or second. Definitely this one's after, because I mean we're recording it after. But this
Make
one's
Halloween
Joyride.
fun with
Shout out to Nick.
one-stop shopping
The
at
sharper you want your memories, the more you need Kodak.
How much
Dude,
further
honestly,
would it
shout
take
out
to
Nick.
stop?
Nick makes the
1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet,
Everything you need for Halloween fun. now at
scariest
Walmart.
freaking commentary videos, honestly,
4
dude.
feet, 5 feet,
This one's called Joyride.
He came home.
14,
My original thought was, this is a
15
nectarine. There's no fur on it. It's like a peach, but not a peach, because there's no fur. We don't like the fur on peaches.
August 4th,
I knew someone
2021.
who is allergic to the fur on peaches, so I just, I can't eat fur on peaches anymore. No joking.
A New Jersey police officer named John Nunez pulls over a speeding car in the township of North Bergen at 1:49 in the morning. Inside the vehicle was a 27-year-old passenger named Alexis Rodriguez, who was accompanied by the driver, 24-year-old Luis Fernando Ceballos, whom the officer had witnessed driving down a heavily populated street going well over 100 miles per hour.
You can shut the car off and give me your license, registration, and insurance. The reason for the yours. I know. That's why I stopped him. Yeah, that's why I'm stopping you for reckless driving, careless driving, speeding, and the lights you ran. Okay? You were doing at least 100 on Kennedy Boulevard. All right, man. You almost struck my car because I was making a right turn. All right.
Luis's driving was reckless to say the least, apparently almost striking the officer's car and several others as he sped through town, breaking numerous traffic laws.
You know what? Any form, this is why I don't get to. When you get pulled over for reckless driving, that's instant arrest because that's weaponizing a vehicle. Do these people not know their job or the laws or because if reckless driving is endangerment and it's weaponizing a 7,000 pound vehicle going like what? If you're going like if you're that's why speeding, yo, anyone who drives safe, drive slow, drive normal. And this will help you out just like for whatever. But I've tested this. If you drive the speed limit, you get all green lights. I think they time it so it could just work perfectly. I have no idea. Because the if I'm running late and I'm speeding, bro, I feel like the universe is like leave earlier because I'm trying to get to work fast or something. I'm hitting all the lights on the way to work. And there's like 400 lights. I just get stuck in traffic. But then it's like if I go the speed limit for no reason, it's just all green lights and God's like, you're driving safe, I love you. I'm like, thanks. No. But it's like this officer should have instantly, I don't know. And then that lady was like, he almost hit a motorcyclist and me. And then the officer's like, yeah, you almost hit me taking that right turn or something. So it's like, dude, that's.
How to make the right turn? Lights turning yellow.
And the only reason why I know this is because I got pulled over one time going 113 miles per hour down a bridge, like super far away from here. But this was like back in 2018. I worked at the doctor's company, Guggenheimer ISS, International Space Station. And it took me so long to realize that it's actually the International Space Station. The ISS is just a food company or something, or the Guggenheimer was like a sister of the food company, but then they're hired on to the ISS because people need to eat. So it's like they have restaurants and stuff. But like, dude, I've looked because the ISS is also from Spy Kids, the movie Spy Kids. So it's like every time I like saw the ISS logo, I was like, haha, I'm a little spy kid. But then it's like that's the space station. That's like technically what controls time. They're the timekeepers, the word keepers, the people that do the pronunciation linguistics. Dude, the Wikipedia about the ISS is insane. They have so many different districts and everything, but then it's like again, those offices need restaurants. Who works at those restaurants? Yeah, boy. Or this was a long time, like pre-COVID.
The next light on
And I
66.
never signed an NDA, so the doctor's company, crazy place, bro.
Red. Probably going off for the girl.
Despite this, Officer Nunez was sympathetic to the pair, as they were young and they were even on their first date. And despite there being grounds for a harsh punishment in a case like this, he made the decision to issue only 3 tickets, assuming that this whole situation would be enough of a learning lesson for Luis to never make the same mistake again, telling him that,
I'm sorry, we're on a first date, me and him.
That's fine, but
Sorry.
almost killing each other is
No,
not the
'cause
way
we're
to
trying
start
rush
on a
back
first
to
date.
the apartment 'cause it just got really chaotic.
before leaving the couple with some final words of advice.
Alright, man.
Thank you.
Get home safe.
Do you think the girl's in
Nunez
danger
then
or
turns
something?
back to his car as the couple drives off to continue their romantic evening elsewhere, hopefully this time in a much safer manner.
What's the twist? Nick, don't do this to me. My mind's already racing. Are they gonna get into another? It's an accident this time. Oh no. Into a truck. That's a semi, bro.
Yo, this is the same kid.
It's the same
my
kid.
gosh.
Oh
Oh
no.
my gosh.
Did you see the car, dude? They hit the bottom of the semi, completely ripped off the. Oh no, it's a convertible now. My mouth is salivating
At
because of this,
approximately
not because.
2:13 that very same morning, Officer John Nunez would be called to the scene of
Hmm? Sometimes it does that. Why does it?
Approximately 2:13 that very same morning, Officer John Nunez would be called to the scene of a nearby accident, only to arrive and discover that the car involved in the wreck was the one that he had just let go, only a mere 10 minutes before.
That officer's gonna have guilt for the rest of his life and probably need therapy. Because he let those people off with the ticket, and then they ended up. Whoa, dude.
In the vehicle, now destroyed past the point of recognition, were Luis and Alexis, whose bodies were so mangled that just by looking from afar, Officer Nunez immediately knew that the crash had been fatal.
We're gonna need a crash team, sir. Crash team, we need a crash team. That's the same car I just had. Fatal. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yo, that's the same car, bro. That's the same car.
Whoa, dude. Okay, I mean maybe the police officer is just chill, but no, he just broke. He's broken. He's back to his. There's no. He's not even a police officer at this point. He's breaking down. Nah, dude. Yeah, because he's like, that's the same car, bro. And then he's like, I mean, maybe that guy was with him when he got pulled over.
The realization from the
Something
officer
something that just is wild is when all professionalism just throws out the door and you're just like your person again, and you're just like this shit's like I don't know. You know, like for me, I'd be like hands on my knees. I'd be like, holy fuck, you know, just cursing. But then it's like that feels like a whole
is
crap.
devastating, as over the next 2 hours on the scene, you can hear him try and grapple with the situation, talking to fellow officers and even a paramedic, just trying to make sense of what had happened.
He has
That's the same car I
survivor
just had,
guilt or
Sergeant.
whatever it's called.
That's the same car I just had, man. What did you have? That I stopped him for speeding.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, I'm good. It's just like, bro, I just told you slow down, man. Like,
You just stopped that car?
yeah, just hit him off for
Just
three.
had
Like,
to-
oh,
that was the same car?
yeah, I told them like, bro, slow down. They're making me get checked out. But I'm fine, man. It sucks. Like,
Yeah,
literally
dude, no,
stopped
he
for the same
needs
thing, like,
he
no,
needs to
relax,
go
slow
talk
down,
to
bro.
someone that
Shit, no,
because no matter whether he likes it or not, it will affect him so deeply. Because he was there giving them a ticket, being like, "Please drive safe," and they're like, "It's your first date," and then he was like, "Yeah, but you don't want to."
My
Oh,
fault was trying to get home, but it's not
holy
your fault to
crap!
get into an accident. And I had him stopped a couple minutes before.
For speeding?
Yeah.
Based on the knowledge and news reports that have since been released, another driver had been backing his large semi-truck into a local business to make a delivery when suddenly the couple crashed into his vehicle. And as it turns out, this was far from a freak accident, as despite the warnings from Nunez, it appears that Luis took his words not as a lesson to be learned, but as further fuel for his ego, believing that he could get away with anything on the road. as evident by the fact that just 5 seconds before the crash, it was determined that Luis had been traveling at 124 miles per hour, even faster than before he was pulled over. The entire clip is genuinely heartbreaking, and in the end, this deadly catastrophe serves as an all-too-important reminder to drive safely
Why does it keep doing that?
on the road, as the video has since been shared all across the internet, where it's since found a home here on the dark side of YouTube.
19 feet.
Yo, that's terrifying. I'm gonna refresh just because it does that robot voice every once in a while. I
The
don't know
entire
why.
clip is
But also, holy crap. No, I cannot state this enough. Please drive safe. Everyone just, I mean, yo, you not drive slow because that's also dangerous. Just normal speed, be aware, no texting, no even looking down. Brother, at this point I'm like, no music. I'm gonna stop listening to music because if I look down, change the song, that could be my life right there. And like, look how young they are. So it's like, dude, that's their whole. And then if it's her first date, she got suckered into fucking this guy's loser ass car. She didn't deserve that. That's wild, dude.
genuinely heartbreaking, and in the end, this deadly catastrophe serves as an all-too-important reminder to drive safely on the road.
Yes.
As the video has since been shared all
Nick
across
is right.
the
Drive
internet,
safe.
where it's since found a home here on the dark side of YouTube.
Holy, especially
19 feet.
at all times of the day. It doesn't even matter if it's nighttime. Please drive safe at night. But it's like also daytime. At nighttime, don't speed. What if you hit something? What if your first reaction when you see like an animal or something crossing the street, you swerve? You're going too fast. That swerve's gonna throw you off the road. Just go this. I don't know, dude. That's whoa.
20 feet.
At just 5 miles over the 30. What? At just 5 miles over the 30 limit, it takes a farther 21 feet to stop. Whoa. So if you're going 30, you could stop normally and slam on the brakes. But if you're just going 5 miles over the speed limit, you need an extra 21 feet to stop. Holy sh.
Think. Slow down.
Costumes from $1.83 to
If the
$3.99.
valve was suddenly open and your arm was near,
Chapter 2 Dash Cam.
Skeletons of strange animals litter the surf.
As evidenced by our first clip, the fairly mundane task of driving can quickly become life-altering within just the blink of an eye. 1 minute you're cruising along enjoying your ride, and the next you're encountering something straight out of a nightmare. It's really no wonder why dashcam videos have become so popular throughout the horror space, showcasing horrific accidents, robberies, and all sorts of other disturbing moments. But back in
That one was that's my favorite.
robberies, and all sorts
These
of
guys are in Mexico. These guys, okay, I'm pretty sure I've seen this one before. I'm not sure if they're gonna play this, but the story behind this video is these guys are gay as hell. And that's what saved them. No, I saw it on Twitter so long ago. They were getting pulled over by the cartel, and then the cartel like found out that they were tourists and gay or something, and they were like, "Whoa, no, you're fine, you're fine," and like they didn't want to get canceled or something. Dude, this one's a little wholesome, even though it's kind of scary that, but I think they were road tripping in Mexico, and then they came across like actual like people blocking the road with like guns and everything, and it was just a cartel. But then like from the voice, and then it's just, I'm like, that's so funny, dude.
other disturbing moments. But back in 2019,
That guy puts
a
on
clip
his
of a similar
seatbelt.
nature surfaced that grabbed the attention of the entire internet.
They were going in
Not
reverse
just
too,
based
though.
on its concerning imagery, but the seemingly unexplained mystery left behind in its wake. On the 30th of December 2019, a motorist was enjoying a drive
A
on Highway
found
1 in
dash
San
cam?
Francisco, California.
In
The route
SF.
took them high above the sea with an open cliff face showing the vast beauty of the ocean. It's one of the most visually stunning routes in the entire country.
Oh,
But
no.
on this particular day, for this particular driver, the beauty of the landscape would be shattered by a fleeting glimpse of something utterly terrifying.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
That afternoon, police would receive a 911 call from the driver, stating that they had witnessed what they believed to be a car falling off the edge of the cliff face, which stood hundreds of feet above the water below. It happened in just a split second, almost too fast to fully comprehend, causing the driver to question whether what they saw was real or just a figment of their imagination. A question that would only be answered by the dashcam that just so happened to be rolling at the time of the incident.
Are they gonna fly off the edge? Oh no. What the fuck, dude?
The clip is concise, but it did in fact confirm the driver's account that a car had gone over the edge, as the footage cuts off almost exactly as the vehicle appears to go airborne, where it would have been met with a tragic drop into the rocky ocean below.
That car
And
was going
perhaps
so
most disturbing
fast
of
over
all
it.
is the speed at which the car was traveling, as it appears as if the brakes were never so much as touched. Within just minutes of the call, rescuers were already arriving on scene, where they would discover tire tracks in the sandy dirt leading right off the edge of the cliff. Perhaps an
Oh my god, plot twist, is there gonna be no car?
unsurprising indication that the car had actually gone over. But what was surprising was something that happened to be missing from the scene entirely, as when they looked down into the water below, there was no vehicle. Immediately, crews scoured the scene in rescue boats, combing the area in the hopes that somehow the driver could still be alive. And yet, they found nothing.
Yeah, it
No sign of a
sank?
driver,
Duh.
and no sign of any vehicle. Despite the area being diligently searched over the following days and weeks, all that would be found were a few car parts that were never even matched to the make and model that appeared to go off the cliff that day. And even stranger,
What?
despite that exact type of car being determined from the video, no one came forward to report any friends or family members missing who might have owned the same type of car. And this was a unique vehicle too, a green 2009 Lexus SUV, not really one that you would typically see driving around too often.
How could you see it was
And
a
yet,
green?
despite this video being shared all over the
Looked
news
black.
and across the internet, no one seemed to recognize it, and no missing persons cases were linked to this video, leading to the search being concluded with no definitive proof ever being established that a vehicle had landed in that location, or that anyone had even been involved. It was like it never even happened, as the vehicle had just disappeared.
No, you
as
need
soon
to,
as
you
the
need
video-
to, I don't trust the search. I don't trust the search because it was going freaking so fast, dude. So it's like wherever they're searching, go farther, you know? Because no way they just fell off the cliff. That shit flew, dude. That was like some Harry Potter ass flying off a cliff.
The clip immediately became a mystery here on the internet, with theories being thrown all around,
This was
ranging
an
from something
SF?
supernatural having happened, to the car somehow being swept up before investigators had gotten there, perhaps entering the water at the perfect angle to which no debris was left behind. But maybe one of the most compelling theories at the time was the idea that the video itself wasn't even real, with experts even diving into this theory to see if they can find any proof that this was CGI. Yet their investigation found no evidence that this was the case. And despite this footage seemingly making no sense at all, this video was all too real, and was now left completely
What?
unexplainable, as the mystery would fall out of headlines and quickly
How
be
strong is the ocean to put? Could the ocean pull the car like into a riptide? I feel like it would have just sank.
forgotten. Until the morning of April 29th, 2020.
How? What was when did it originally happen?
Almost exactly 5 months after this dashcam footage was
Oh,
taken,
5 months.
swimmers at the nearby Montero State Beach would stumble upon an object floating in the distance. And upon further inspection, the realization would set in that this object was actually a body. Her name was Tracy Sinclair, a woman from the area who just so happened to have been missing around the very same time as this infamous clip.
Is
And when
that
police
her
would search her
car?
auto records, they discovered that she did in fact own
Oh
a dark
my
green
God.
Lexus SUV from the year 2009, giving us at least a better idea of who was in the vehicle at the time it crashed.
That's insane that they found the body before the
The fact
car,
that
dude.
a vehicle had in fact crashed to begin with. However, it's still unknown why Tracy was never connected to the case before her body was found, despite her fitting the profile perfectly. Plus, we still don't know why her car went off the cliff in the way it did. But given the fact that the brakes didn't seem to have been pressed, many seem to have settled on the idea that the crash was, unfortunately, intentional. But perhaps the strangest part of this all is, to this day, that green Lexus has still never been recovered, nor have any of its parts, leading to the mystery lingering for many across the web who are still left unsatisfied by its conclusion. But for the family of Tracy Sinclair, I'm just glad that they can now take some solace in having some measure of closure to their dark, devastating loss.
It's the great pumpkin story
I
of your
guarantee she broke out of the car, and then that's how she got swept away. The car still has to be in the same spot. Unless the ocean just freaking I don't know.
would be like trying to
The passers.
Before we get into our next video, as you guys already know, this channel
Who's
here is all
sponsored?
about the mysterious and the spooky, which is why I am so excited to be joining Mr. Ballin and Ballin Studios, a team who not only understands the
Mr.
world of
Ballin.
dark storytelling, but who have taken these strange, dark, and mysterious stories to a whole new level. I've been a huge fan of Mr. Ballin for forever,
I
as he
feel like
truly
I've seen this
understands
guy
how to
before.
tell these real-life horrific stories in an engaging and creepy way, usually hiding some sort of twist at the very end that I never saw coming at all, and while also doing so in an incredibly respectful and tasteful way. Now, as many of you will already know, Mr. Ballin has been working on his Mr. Ballin podcast for some time now, which has very quickly become my go-to podcast.
Oh, they got a
for these.
pod?
Mr. Ballin is just along the link in the description. It'll take you right there. And the best part is, if you're already a Prime member, you already have free access to not only this podcast,
Just sub
but
to his
also a
pod.
whole new world of podcasts. As not only does Amazon Music have a huge selection of true crime podcasts, which obviously I'm sure most of us will prefer, they also have so many other types of podcasts for whatever else you may be into.
Oh, Amazon
They got it all
Prime.
over there. So I highly recommend that you go to the link in the description, download
The only thing I don't like about Amazon Prime is the books. I mean, again, million books are left unread. Read it, and then, But they only let you download like 40 books. And I downloaded the timeless ones, like the H.G. Wells and like Frankenstein and like those, like the OG books. And then they were like, no more for you. You have to read it and then give it back or something. And I'm like, it's a digital copy. Plus, these are free. I should be able to download as much as I want. You guys are 1984 my books.
Amazon Music and start listening to the Mr. Ballin podcast today. It is absolutely awesome, and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. Okay, back to the video.
Was that just nice? Was that just nice of him, or was he sponsored by Amazon? I'm so confused. Yeah, because he just like low-key sponsored this guy's podcast.
The passers-by are
Shout out to
characters from
Mr.
travelers'
Ballin.
tales. At the bottom, it's dark and virtually lifeless.
Chapter 3.
Above,
What?
there's just empty sky.
A misled red.
Our next case takes us to what would best be described as an environmental anomaly. As hidden within the outskirts of Mitsero, Cyprus, exists a body of water known simply as the Red Lake. As the name would suggest, this small secluded lake consists of red water that varies in shade throughout the year. In some instances, it appears bright red,
water?
while in others it almost
Is it the
looks
minerals
blood-like.
in the water?
This anomaly is caused by various blends of minerals found within the soil, as well as runoff from a nearby abandoned mine, which was once used to extract iron ore and gold back in the 50s. Not only did this cause the
it's the
water to change its
iron
shape
in the water?
permanently, but it also turned it highly toxic, and swimming here is strictly prohibited due to the danger that the water poses, with some going
is
as
someone
far as to
gonna
even
swim?
call it an acid lake. This hasn't stopped curious tourists from visiting the area, however. And as a matter of fact, the dark allure of this deadly lake seems to only drive curiosity, leading it to become a semi-popular location for extreme tourism. And those brave enough to journey out there have gifted us some truly stunning footage.
Whoa, that is cool. I know copper turns
Like this
things
video
blue.
from YouTuber 2 Wheels 4 Rotors,
Is that why we have
which
copper?
shows
Do we
a
have
stunning
copper in our
overview
blood?
of this deep red lake from the vantage point of a remote-controlled drone, providing us with a full view of the lake's beauty. But while most choose to view the water from afar, others prefer a closer look.
You know, it's wild because I'm like, that's so sick. That's only because of like the fracking or whatever, fracking or the mining of the iron. So it's like this is a completely man-made. They destroyed this lake.
Have been brave enough to make the venture down to the shores themselves, with the one video that stands out above the rest belonging to YouTuber Sarah Funk.
Is she
So
gonna go
I
in the water?
discovered that there is a red lake called Mitsero. It's about 20 kilometers from
Nick.
Nicosia. Most people don't even know it exists. We're
This
gonna
is
go check
called
it out.
No
In
way, is she gonna
2017,
jump in
the
the water?
well-known vlogger and her boyfriend traveled to Cyprus with the goal of making it to the water's edge, documenting the entire adventure and showcasing just how remote the area is, and how difficult it is to access, while giving their commentary on the frightening landscape.
This is what like murder episodes are made out of, okay? Because it's always like a young American couple went on.
It's doing that
Murder
robot thing
episodes
again.
are made out of, okay? Because it's always like a young American couple went on vacation to Cyprus. They went to see a red lake where nobody went, but they figured out why. And like it just never see us again.
It smells so bad here. It's like
Oh my god,
so
is that a
gross.
foreshadow, dude?
It just like feels like death. You know what I mean?
Eventually, their trek takes them all the way down to the shoreline, where Sarah stands dangerously close, taking a photo of the deep red water. But though both of these videos
I
are
am not
interesting
ready
in
for
their
this.
own unique ways, it would be a stretch to call them dark. And for years upon their release, they really weren't, as it wouldn't be until 2019 when it would be revealed just how disturbing these videos actually were.
What happened?
In
Oh
April
my
of that
God.
year, Red Lake and its surrounding area were pummeled by relentless rainstorms, leaving much of the region flooded, including the nearby mineshaft. And within that mineshaft, a traveler would discover the decomposed remains of a woman, whose body had been flushed out by the rain, dislodging her corpse from a shallow grave she was placed in. And she wasn't the only one either,
Is that the YouTube
as
girl?
after that
Oh.
discovery, the mine would be
What?
searched thoroughly, where yet another woman's body would be found, with both women having passed away due to strangulation, indicating that perhaps this was the work of a serial killer. And so the entire area within and around the mine would be searched from top to bottom, looking for clues or even more bodies. Though it wouldn't be until investigators turned their attention to Red Lake that they would uncover the true extent of the killer's work.
Police
There's
in
gonna be
Cyprus
so much people in
investigating a
that
suspected
lake.
serial killer have uncovered another body close to an abandoned mine where the bodies of 2 other women have already been found. An officer in the Cypriot army has confessed to killing 5 women and the daughters of 2 of his victims.
Within the water, 5 more bodies would be found, 3 of which belonging to adult women that too had been strangled to death, just like the previous 2 found in the mineshaft. Although disturbingly, the final 2 victims were merely children who belonged to 2 separate of the victims. The case was shocking and took Cyprus by storm, as a suspect would quickly come to the forefront and eventually confess to the killing of all 7 victims, admitting that he had buried their bodies in the mineshaft or dumped them within the lake. His name was Nikos Metaxas, a military officer who had used a popular dating app to find women in the area before proceeding to strangle each of them. In his confession, he claimed that 2 of the women were planning on pimping out their daughters, and that he not only had to kill the mothers, but he had to kill the children themselves in order for them to be free. And if these killings couldn't get any more deranged, of the 5 adult victims, all of them were migrant workers who had moved to the area in a desperate attempt to find work, even though this type of work came with limited rights, as the justice system allegedly doesn't treat them the same way as if they were regular citizens. It was evident that Nikos knew this too and chose these victims very carefully, as he knew that their disappearances would never be properly investigated. Which was right, as supposedly law enforcement never even so much as looked into their disappearances. The context of this location makes these travel videos extremely chilling, as these tourists were literally venturing into a serial killer's dumping grounds. Though there is a reason why I chose these 2 videos as prominent examples.
Are they gonna
You see,
have...
Nikos Metaxas didn't just dump his victims' bodies in the water. As for 4 of the victims, he first killed them, then bound them, then stuffed them into suitcases, before throwing them inside the water.
Oh my god, are
as a
they
way
gonna
to
find
assure
a
that the
suitcase in the
bodies would be
video?
submerged.
Is that it?
Though years later, one just so happened to wash up to shore, where we can see it from a distance in 2 wheels, 4 rotors video, as his drone flies directly over top of it. Though this isn't nearly as shocking as Sarah Funk's video.
Is she gonna be right next to a suitcase?
as he crouches by the water's edge just feet away from it.
She's taking a picture. I
With
thought that was
neither
a
of these two
rock.
creators having any clue that in these moments they were actually videotaping the trapped remains of a lost soul. By the end of the investigation, all 7 victims were uncovered and finally given a proper burial, with their names being Mary Rose Tiburcio, Arian Palanas Lozano, Asmita Kadaka Bista, Eleno Natalia Buena, Maricar Valdez Ariquila, Livia Florentina Buena, and Sierra Ariquila. The case was officially closed in June of 2019, when Nikos was sentenced to 5 consecutive life terms, and will thankfully never see the outside of a prison again. However, his actions have left a permanent dark stain on the work of unknowing creators all across YouTube.
The other boy, but as the moon rose, he turned into a...
As the cap came free, the rushing water grabbed
What's
the
this one called?
driver.
Love Parade? TV show?
Guten Tag aus Berlin.
Ja, wir
Germans.
It was July
Hello,
24th,
guten Tag.
2010, a day in which seemingly the entire country of Germany was ready
Oh,
to
they are
celebrate,
Germans.
as it was time yet again for another long-awaited Love Parade. This music festival had run off and on dating all the way back to 1989, where it's hosted some of the most popular musical acts in all of the world, as well as millions and millions of people.
Oh no, Germany.
And it
What's
had grown to be
happening?
so popular that during the event in 2008, an unbelievable 1.69 million people had been in attendance for what was essentially one of the largest parties on the entire planet.
Wow. Wow, that's insane. That's an insane amount of people. That is cool, but then I'm like, something spooky is gonna happen. But 1.6 million people in one spot just partying. That's insane, dude.
And the 2010 festival was set to be no different, with event organizers expecting a turnout of millions and millions of people. This amount of people coming together for any event is always going to be a logistical and public safety nightmare. Though despite event organizers and officials from the city it was being hosted in expressing their concerns over the size of the venue and its ability to fit so many people, the event was greenlit anyway, and it was determined that should anything go
fire
awry,
hazard?
there were proper channels for guests to evacuate in a quick and safe manner. And so on that July morning, thousands began lining up to experience this one-of-a-kind music festival. To control the crowd flow, the venue offered 2 large entry points that would lead the incoming crowd through a large tunnel which converged into a single main ramp. This ramp would then take the festival goers directly to and from the venue itself, where the party was already getting started. And to help with crowd strain, an additional smaller exit ramp was set up to help manage the high volume of people. And based on the footage found here on YouTube, it seems that at the beginning, people had been flowing in and out of the area with little to no issues, with most enjoying the moment knowing that they were part of history. Though very quickly, a problem would arise, as after just a few hours, the venue itself was supposedly filled to capacity. As a result, law enforcement set up a corridor blocking each of the entrances, as well as a third located on the ramp leading into the venue, in an attempt to stop the crowd from entering the festival. Though this didn't stop the crowd from growing outside the main entrances, as after just minutes, hundreds of thousands of people had gathered, each of whom were desperately trying to get in, pushing their way towards the first and second police corridors. As this was happening, the third corridor was also facing immense strain, as hundreds of thousands of people
Oh no.
This was happening, the third corridor was also facing immense strain, as hundreds of thousands of people were attempting to leave the venue through that main ramp, meaning that at all 3 barricades stood countless patrons, all attempting to go in converging directions. Due to this strain, the first corridor would be dissolved, which was followed by law enforcement's decision to remove the second corridor as well, meaning that in an instant, all of these people were now rushing in directly towards each other. And worst of all, despite being allowed into the tunnel, that third corridor remained closed.
What is this, man? Why does it keep doing that?
As well as a third located on the ramp leading into the venue, in an attempt to stop the crowd from entering the festival. Though this didn't stop the crowd from growing outside the main entrances, as after just minutes, hundreds of thousands of people had gathered, each of whom were desperately trying to get in, pushing their way towards the first and second police corridors.
Something
As this was
worse than a
happening,
fire
the third
has to
corridor
happen,
was
though.
also facing immense strain, as hundreds of thousands of people were attempting to leave the venue through that main ramp, meaning that at all three barricades stood countless patrons, all attempting to go in converging directions. Due to this strain, the first corridor would be dissolved, which was followed by law enforcement's decision to remove the second corridor as well, meaning that in an instant, all of these people were now rushing in directly towards each other. And worst of all, despite being allowed into the tunnel, that third corridor remained closed, leading to those walking through the entrance being met by another police barricade, as well as hundreds of thousands of people who were attempting to go the opposite way. It was the perfect storm. And now, each of these massive crowds were colliding, with everyone trying to force their way through in their own directions, within this hopeless mass of humanity. Across YouTube, you can find various clips showcasing the commotion of that day, some taken from afar, some were taken by those who didn't even know anything was wrong.
Oh, I like this one.
And some taken by those who were trapped in the crowd themselves.
Oh, people are passing out.
And with the crowd pushing now from all directions, there was just no stopping the force, leading to them being squeezed and slowly suffocated, with the pressure being so great that some had their entire rib cages completely crushed in.
What? There's so much people that they're literally crushing each other.
The visuals from that day are horrific, with some attempting to climb over the walls, while others had their lifeless bodies lifted above the crowd in a desperate attempt to get them medical attention. But it was helpless, with the terror also being captured by survivors who would give accounts of what they experienced within that massive crush of people. I saw one girl they were trying to resuscitate and she had broken legs. Her boyfriend was near her, but there was nothing he could do. They put a cover over her head in the end. This is the first time I had ever seen people die. I saw 25 people piled on top of one another, a huge heap. The people couldn't get any air. I saw the dead in there. The number of people I saw lying on the floor was ridiculous. They had stamp marks on their faces. It wasn't until I saw people being resuscitated that I understood how serious this was. I don't even know if they were alive or dead. And to me, the power of this crowd is best shown within the CCTV footage that was overlooking the entire entrance ramp, as you can see people being pushed around from all different directions in a disturbingly unnatural manner, almost like waves in an ocean. In the uncontrollable frenzy, 652 people were left injured, with 21 sadly passing away, many of whom had died right there within the sea of people. In a following investigation, claims were made bashing the police on the scene for their response to the disaster, while the then mayor of Duisburg, the city where the event was held, named Adolf Saucerland, received heavy criticism and even death threats for greenlighting the event, with Adolf later going on to be impeached from office and lose his position entirely.
Absolutely, that's so stupid. They cancel an event that brings so much money to the city and like whatever. I blame the people. I do blame the police officers, but it's like they should have shut that shit down. They should have not had that much people in there. Oh, you missed the date. You missed the time to come in to music festival. Sorry, we're over capacity. It's like.
And of course the event organizers themselves faced extreme backlash, especially once it was revealed
Nah,
that
dude, I blame the people. They blocked it off. Those people that were standing there should have just fucking bounced. Those people stayed and made it worse for, I have no idea. That's insane. The fact that they were crushing each other, I think, I don't want to rewind it, but like the CCTV was showing them like kind of move like a wave. And it's because that's how like sardines they were.
Wasn't even filled at the time, and could have easily fit hundreds of thousands more inside, making the third barrier which ultimately caused this entire human crush completely unnecessary.
It wasn't even in the venue. They were still like in the tunnel or like outside of it. So like they were in like weird spots. They weren't even in the venue. They had enough space in the venue.
Though in the end, no one took responsibility for the tragedy, and no parties were formally convicted of any crimes.
What?
Drink? Oh, it can happen this Halloween. They are the children of the...
No one knew. As you watch the following recreations of actual Delta P
It has to
incidents,
be.
ask
I
yourself
blame
if you
the
have, on occasion,
coordinators, the
ventured
police,
into situations
and the
without
people.
being thoroughly prepared.
What is this? Ocean is already scary. Underwater welder?
It was the start of a typical day for Kazim Ali, as he dives into the waters off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago, proceeding to swim towards a large structure looming in the murky sea. Kazim was working the unique and highly specialized job of being an underwater welder, tasked with making repairs to a multitude of submerged structures that could only be reached by scuba
I swear to
diving.
God,
Kazim was employed by the Pariah Fuel Trading
I've seen
Company.
ads for, I think, something about Australia, and I don't know how or why I get those ads, but they're like, become an underwater welder and move to Australia. And I'm like, what the hell? It was wild how I
We
guessed
tasked
that.
him and 4 others to
I'm
perform
so proud of that.
maintenance on an inactive
Yeah, this
oil
entire video, all my me watching Nick, dude, we've always been wrong. That pirate run, we were wrong. When I'm right, I'm like, guys, come on, give me that.
pipeline. This pipeline was incredibly long, going on for 1,200 feet below the water, with its 2 ends coming up to a 90-degree angle and rising up to the surface, with these vertical pipes being coined as risers. The system was initially created so that ships could park at the furthest riser and transport their oil through
Why does it keep doing that?
the pipe and out of the other riser, where it would be collected by Pariah. The area in which Kazim and the 4 other divers would be focusing their work on that day was known as Berth 6, which was capped by a hyperbaric chamber, or an airtight enclosure that would allow them to breathe and properly use their welding equipment, despite technically being underwater.
What do you think is gonna happen? Has to be malfunction.
In the
no?
video, Kazim approaches the chamber, climbing inside when he's met with his colleagues Faisal Kurban, Rishi Nagasar, Yusuf Henry, and Christopher Boudrim, whom he all considered close friends by this point, sharing a close bond over their unusual profession.
No, dude.
Once inside, the crew would remove their scuba gear, as they were now able to breathe the fresh air from the chamber, before going on to start their work on the pipe. The plan initially was to remove an inflatable plug from inside the old tube that was placed there to prevent the oil from the pipe from being contaminated by the surrounding water, with that process being briefly shown in the footage.
I don't understand what we're... I mean, they're underwater right now, even though they're
Until
not.
Suddenly... the footage goes dark.
Is all of the
It all
oil
happened so
spilling?
quickly that even the camera couldn't capture what had just transpired. One frame we see the inside of the chamber, and the next, it's pitch black, with nothing but the noise of rushing water and the faint sound of muffled screaming. Until finally we hear a voice, revealing in part the extent of the situation that had just unfolded.
Oh, they turned it on? They didn't know they were inside?
As the plug was removed from the pipe, in a time less than even a split second, the changing of pressure caused an instant suction in a phenomenon known as delta P, which proceeded to pull all the contents within the chamber inside of the tube, meaning that all the equipment, the air tanks, the tools, and the divers themselves were sucked into the pipe and were now being pulled at an impossible speed through the 1,200-foot-long tube system. Now this pipe was incredibly narrow, at only 36 inches in diameter.
The pressure sucked them into the oil
He and the others are repeatedly being struck by their heavy equipment. Yet as they each came to a halt, we hear one of the divers call out to the others, to which, one by one, they all miraculously respond.
I hope this is just a scary video and they all survive. Like, this is terrifying already. Oh my god, it's doing that fucking thing again. Why?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's auto, no? I don't know why this does this.
I'm trying to come up. Yeah. Who making all that noise? Come on, all I mean, let's figure it out. We gotta go. We gotta start moving.
Someone. I mean, obviously all of them are in pain, but like, there's 5?
Not only had the 5 survived the event, but they were all conscious
God,
and had
dude.
managed to stop within an air pocket, meaning that at the right angle they could still breathe. They had somehow survived the nightmare, but had just found themselves in a brand new one. Now lodged deep within the narrow tube, the 5 men were trapped in complete and total darkness. And on top of this, the pipe was filled with old, slippery oil and water, and the group had no way of knowing where exactly they were. Making the situation even more disturbing, all of the divers were badly beaten up by the debris, with some in significantly worse shape than the others, which became evident as the men try and take stock of the situation.
Guys, everything alright with you? No. Any items break? Your leg, alright. 5. Anything happen to you? Yusuf, anything happen to you?
God.
What happened?
Oh my god, they're so chill about
And
everything.
this is where the footage would come to an end.
Holy crap,
Though
my
for the
foot
divers,
break, my
their
leg
ordeal
break.
was only just beginning. After
Everything
minutes of
okay
trying to
with
get their
you?
bearings straight,
No.
it was determined that Christopher
My leg
Boutron was
break.
not only physically in the best shape, seemingly avoiding any significant injury, but also that his head was in what they believed to be the direction of the chamber, where they had entered the tube, with that chamber being their only hope of escape, as had they accidentally gone to the opposite riser at berth 5, they would have been met within a movable inflatable plug. Chris knew that he would have to be the one to lead the group out, and so together the 5 men linked themselves, connecting their feet with the person below them's shoulders, and began to slowly push their way through the darkness, where they would quickly be met with another problem.
Have these people survive?
Despite the group having landed within an air pocket, Christopher could see that the area ahead of him was completely filled with water, and there was no way of knowing just how long that stretch of water could last. It could be just for a few feet, or it could be for hundreds of feet. Though despite the danger, the 2 men in the front, Christopher and Faisal, decided to press on, leaving the other 3 men who were too injured to take the risk behind. So they moved forward, pushing on and now holding their breath, inching into the unknown, not knowing when or if their next breath would occur. After what must have felt like hours, the 2 managed to break through into the next air pocket, where by some miracle they would also find 2 oxygen tanks, which they would both utilize to help push them further and further through long stretches of water and long air pockets, knowing that at some point they had to be approaching the end. Though the closer they seemingly got, the more Faisal's condition seemed to deteriorate.
Please
as the
tell me
stress
they're
of it all
going the
seemed to
right
finally
direction.
catch up with him, leading to him stopping and refusing to go any further, falling into a complete panic and yelling at Christopher to stop too. But Christopher refused, yelling back to him and the 4 others who were now hundreds of feet away that he was going to get them help and that he was going to come back for them. And so he kept moving forward, praying that he would reach the end before his oxygen ran out. Until he hit the edge of the pipe. He had made it back to berth 6, though by this point the pressure was so great that he was physically unable to swim up the tube, and so he grabbed a nearby chain and held on for dear life, waiting and praying that a rescuer would look down the riser. And sure enough, he was eventually met with the sight of a rescue diver who swam in and pulled Christopher to the surface. Somehow,
We need 4 more
Christopher
people,
had
dude.
survived,
Let's go.
escaping one of the most claustrophobic and disturbing situations you could ever
That
imagine.
is God bless.
And with the rescuers on the scene, knowing that his friends were still alive, this case was headed for the most improbable happy ending possible. Though there was one glaring problem. Despite Pariah having a rescue crew on scene, saving the life of Christopher, they would come to the conclusion that it was too dangerous to send anyone back in the tube, despite knowing that 4 of the other divers were still trapped inside and were very much alive. And so you might be asking, if they weren't going to dive in, then what was their backup plan? Well, there was none. And after just 12 hours...
Motherfucker. Why does this... I mean, we'll just restart everything after, honestly. It's not even refreshing. What the hell?
Saving the life of Christopher, they would come to the conclusion that it was too dangerous to send anyone back in the tube, despite knowing that 4 of the other divers were still trapped inside and were very much alive. And so you might be asking, if they weren't going to dive in, then what was their backup plan? Well, there was none. And after just 12 hours of waiting around, Pariah began preparing death notices for all 4 of the workers, with the CEO even sending a message out on WhatsApp to his colleagues, stating that they were alerting the press that the rescue effort was going to be considered a recovery effort from now on, accepting that the divers had perished. But this wasn't actually true, as all the while you could hear the faint sound of banging coming from the pipe, indicating that the divers were not only alive, but were desperately fighting for their lives, hitting the sides of the pipe so that anyone could hear them, but nothing was done to help them. And so, trapped in that tight, claustrophobic, pitch-black, oil-filled pipe, those 4 divers were left to die slowly, all the while they likely held on hope for a rescue that was never so much as considered. The sounds of their banging were heard all throughout the day and all throughout the night, until eventually 2 full days later, when the pipe fell silent. Their 4 bodies would be fished out 5 days later, with Christopher being the sole survivor of the incident. This whole tragedy is by far one of the most disturbing I've ever encountered, and the sheer terror of this moment when the men were initially sucked in, and the realization that they had been pulled into the pipe, is only made more horrific once you know the fate of these trapped men. The ones who were severely injured never had a chance to begin with, because the company in charge of their safety literally abandoned them. Christopher became so devastated by the lack of action that he himself even attempted to re-enter the pipe in order to rescue his friends. But he was held back and restrained, as it seemed to be Pariah's plan all along to just wait for the men to die. In the end, Pariah did face legal pushback for the incident itself, as well as the apparent lack of effort in saving the men, though eventually they would be cleared of any wrongdoings.
The goal of this video is to make you aware of the potential for differential pressure situations. Because when it's gotcha, it's gotcha.
Candies of every kind. Bubblegum, lollipops.
A time for children. Parties. Good times.
Dude.
Halloween was a special time.
This is why we have OSHA.
Until
This is why people need to take their safety measures, safety, honestly. And if you cook, always wear a cut glove. Or if you're a prepper and your job gives you a cut glove, don't be like, yeah, but I've never seen a chef wear a cut glove. Nah. Oh, look at my finger. I cut my finger off when I was a chef at Napkins. Honestly, best chef in the world. I'm the best cook. But I cut the tip of my finger off, and then I had to go to the ER. I waited for like 2 hours, and they sewed it on wrong. The guy literally forgot about me, and they gave me a bunch of painkillers. And like he knew what he was doing, because I was like, I don't need painkillers. It's just like sew my finger back together. And then he gave me like he literally wrote a prescription, and he was like, I'll give you too much. And I'm like, how much is too much? But I was literally in the ER for like maybe 2 hours. And I was like, bro, my finger's not going to heal back the same. And it didn't. I still have like a weird fucking bump on it. Pain, honestly. No, the safety does matter. Honestly, always be safe. Always wear your cut glove. That was wild. And then I can't even believe they just let them. Like the plan was to just let those people die in the pipe. I'm like, it would have been easy to go in and save them. I don't even think, throw a string. You know, like one string just shoved down the pipe, you could have just pulled them out, saved them. That's wild. I love you guys, honestly. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Bing, bing, bong. Thanks, Nick, too, honestly. These shout out these videos. How long was it? 40 minutes? Oh, geez. This is an hour long. Bing, bing, bong.